Hi out there, and welcome to my tennis fitness class. I'm Maggie Miller. I'm a physical therapist and strength and conditioning specialist, as well as an avid recreational player. So I designed this class with those three components in mind. For equipment today, just make sure you have a good pair of tennis or cross-training shoes. And if you have any resistance bands or tubings, that's helpful, as well as any kind of a ball. And you might want a chair. None of these are required, so don't worry if you don't have them. But if you want to grab a couple of things, go ahead and pause and come on back to join the class. The format today is going to be a light workout with a focus on form, as well as tips on tennis fitness, things that you can do easily at home. I'm trying to strike a balance between getting a good workout and learning how to work out to prepare for tennis. The goals are to prevent injury, as well as improving performance. We want you ready to be out there on the court, the muscles ready to help prevent injury, and we're going to accomplish our goals in three different ways. We're going to focus on core stability, body position awareness or athleticism, and then some quickness drills to maintain your quickness. It's easy at home to work on endurance if you're a runner or a hiker, or maybe have some aerobic equipment at home, but it's harder to do quickness type drills, so I'm going to give you a couple ideas of what you can do at home. For our core stability, it's not how many crunches we can do. If you're an athlete, it's how you control your body in space. So keeping that athletic position requires a lot of trunk stability, everywhere from the shoulders through the hips. We also want to be able to have a strong core so we can transfer that power from our foot through our hip and core and into our racket head. With that, let's get started. We're going to just start with marching. We're looking for keeping that nice upright position. Our head is still, and our torso stays upright. We don't want to do any side to side. You can pick up the pace if you want to. Adding the arms, getting the arms warmed up. We're thinking about holding the belly button into the spine, activating the lower abdominal muscles to help protect our back. Then we're going to switch to butt kicks, just bringing the heel to the butt. I'm going to turn sideways. So a common error with this is arching the back as we lift up, and we want to avoid that. We want to make sure we're keeping that good stability in the low back. The low back should not be moving. Good, and then we're going to take it sideways. So moving sideways is the basis of your change of direction laterally on the tennis court. Wanting to do 10 or 20 of each for a 5-minute or so warm-up. All these things are good to do before a match, so your body's ready to play, and they can be done in a nice small space. We're going to do a specific warm-up for your calves. We're just going to go up on the toes, rock back to the heels. Toes and heels. Achilles and calf strains are pretty common in tennis, so we want to make sure these muscles are really warmed up before we get out on the court. And then we're going to work on more specific tennis warm-up, shadowing our forehand, top spin ground stroke. What we're looking for here is my heel is lifting, I'm pushing through the foot and straightening through the hip, and the rotation comes through the hip and not the torso. Do about 10 on one side, and then switch sides. Starting low, ending high. If you put your hands on your stomach and back, you can feel that my torso is stable. I'm not twisting my back. The rotation is occurring here at the hip. So we're getting the power through the big muscles of the hip with the glutes and the other leg muscles, and we're decreasing the stress on our back. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about change of direction, both forwards, sideways, and backwards. So we're going to just start working on a forward lunge, forward step. We're going to do 10 times. Again, we're looking for keeping that body position really upright. We don't want the head moving. We don't want the hips or shoulders dropping. As we go, we want to stay really stable. And then we're going to switch legs. I'm going to give you a side view of this. We're going to step forward. So this is the basis of our first step quickness. If you have knee problems, you want to be careful when you land that the knee stays over the ankle. If the knee gets way out here, that causes more compression. And if you have knee problems, you might want to make these just a little more shallow. And then let's switch to our side lunge. It's the same thing for the knees here. You want to have land with the knee over the ankle, not way out here. So it's a little bit of a sitting back and pushing off. Working on that lateral change of direction. Sitting back, pushing off. Trying to maintain that athletic position and that core stability. Let's look at it from the front, switching legs and pushing off. As you get warmed up, you can try pushing a little bit harder. It helps to do some of these in a mirror so you can really see if you're getting any lean either direction as you're doing them, wanting to stay nice and solid. Let's do one more. All right. The third change of direction is backwards, and often in tennis and other athletics, we'll use a drop step. So with the drop step, what it is, it's a push off and a turning to change direction. So I'm pushing off and I'm changing direction. Also here, if I put my hands here, most of that twisting is through the hip. I'm not turning my back. I'm using the power muscles of my hip to turn. You'll use that drop step if you have to push off and say run for an overhead. Let's switch sides. If you're right-handed, you'd be more likely to use it in this direction. And as you get good at these, you could add that if you have space at home, pushing off and then running backwards, either with a side shuffle or a crossover step. Okay, next we're going to go into our workout portion, and I'm going to do these in intervals. We're doing some balance work, some upper body strengthening, and then some movement drills. So first we're going to just work on our single leg balance. You're going to stand on your leg. Your knee stays a little soft, so it's not real bent, but it's not locked straight either, just slightly bent. Looking for hips staying level, torso upright. If you feel really stable in this position, you can add some challenges by reaching your hands in different directions. Challenging that core stability. Sides. Knee soft. Squeeze the glute or the back of the hip of the leg you're standing on. Check that your hips are level. You can slide your hands right down along your rib cage till you get to the top of the pelvis. This should be level. If there's weakness, people will tend to lean, so you want to avoid that. And if you're stable, go ahead and move the hand around. With this, you can really compare sides. Is there a side-to-side difference? If you find that there is, what you want to do is start on the weaker side, do the opposite side, and then come back and do another set on that weaker side. All right, now we're going to work on our shoulder exercises. Palms are up, elbows are bent. We're going to pinch the shoulder blades together, let the arms roll out. This is going to start warming up your rotator cuff muscles. And in tennis, especially with overhead activities, the rotator cuff function is to hold the ball in the socket, giving stability to the shoulder, to protect the shoulder, as well as transfer the power from the core into your racket head speed. I'm pinching my shoulder blades together and letting the arms roll out. If you have a band or tube, let's grab it now. You want a fairly lightweight one. And we're just going to do one arm at a time. Pinch and roll. Research has shown that with working on the rotator cuff, it will help increase the power of your serve. A couple more on this side. Wanting to do about 10 on each side. You can also notice if as you roll out there, does your body want to twist to move it? You want to use your core to keep your body still in that athletic position. No twisting of the shoulders or hips. We're isolating the external rotators of the shoulder here. Good. Let's go back to our three-way lines, the forward, sideways, and drop step, and we're going to combine them now into a quickness drill. So I will take you through it, and when you're ready, just join in with me. We're going to do each side and then switch sides. So we're going to start forward, sideways, drop step. Switch legs, forward, sideways, drop step. And switch. And drop, and forward, side, and drop. Again, if you can practice these in a mirror, you can really notice if you're staying stable and upright. As you work on these over time, if you can do the workout a couple times a week, you can start really adding more power and quickness. And that will help your first step quickness in any direction. Let's do one more set on each side. All right, now we're going to do another upper body strengthening. Stay with your light tube if you have a tube or band. We're going to hold the band with our thumbs up. We're going to pull our arm out to the side. So this is like a reverse fly. Pinching the shoulder blade, and the arm follows. Let's switch arms. I'm going to show you the side view. I'm pinching my shoulder blade. The arm is coming out. We want to really control that motion and not get our arm behind our body. Just keeping it in line with the body at the furthest position back. You can make it easier or harder by choking up on the band or giving it more slack. 2 more here. And 10. All right, go ahead and set your band down. We're going to do another little quickness drill. We're going to take 2 steps and hop. So step, step, land, step, step, land. Landing low, staying upright. Again, you can notice if you have a difference side to side. We want to be able to move equally well in each direction. You can make it a little more explosive, bigger steps as you work with this drill and get comfortable. Just make sure when you make a big step, you're not letting that core become unstable or the shoulders drop. Now you can grab your ball. We're going to work on single leg balance again. Knee is soft. Squeezing the glute of that leg you're standing on. And here's another way to give a little more challenge to your balance. If you have a partner, you can toss the ball back and forth, which makes it a little bit more fun. And switch legs. Knee soft, squeeze the glute, and toss the ball. You can start tossing it further out, making a bigger challenge. I'm just using a light kids type gym ball from the hardware store. If you have a medicine ball, anywhere between 2 and 4 or 6 pounds, that's going to give you a little more challenge. All right. Next, grab your heavier band. What we're going to do is step on the band, and we're going to do a row. We're in a split stance, 1 foot in front of the other. We're bending from the hip, keeping your back straight. We don't want to be down here. We want to just be bending from the hip, and we're going to do a row, pinching the elbow into the side. You may find you need to choke up on the band a little bit to make it harder. If you don't have a band, just practice this motion, and I'll show you another way to do it after this set. Another way to do it, if you have a chair handy, is by using a chair. So similar to a bench row. So I'm going to do the other side. And we're going to do it this way. Here we want your back straight. There should be a little bit of curve in the low back. My belly button is pulled up and in. You can also do this exercise with a dumbbell weight, a kettlebell, even like a jug of laundry soap. Fill it with water to whatever resistance feels a little bit difficult by the time you get to the end of your 10 repetitions. So I'm intermingling the weight exercises and the balance with our movement drills. Normally, if you're working on speed and agility, for beginners, you want to start with at least a 3-to-1 rest ratio to workout. So if you are doing each drill for 30 seconds, you would rest a minute and a half in between each drill. You want to get full recovery before you move on to the next movement drill. Instead, today, what we're doing is working some balance in upper body while our lower body is recovering. Our next movement drill is going to be a reverse lunge with the knee up. So we're going to start with one leg up and the opposite arm up, just like we're in a running position. We're going to step back into a reverse lunge. Watch that knee position. My knee is over my ankle. I'm not back here. I'm here. And then coming back up. And we're going to do 10 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, and let's switch sides. By the end, you should be feeling it quite a bit in the glute muscles. Now we're going to have the opposite arm up here, and step back, push up. I'm actually on the same leg, so make sure you're on your opposite leg. Nine, and 10. All right. Our next exercise is the push-up. That's a really easy way to get your chest muscles and triceps working at home. I'm going to do it in a modified position from my knees. And you're going to go ahead and do 10 push-ups. 3, 4, noticing your core stability. Making sure your back is not arching. And 10. If you haven't done push-ups for a while, a good way to work on them is do a couple standard push-ups. And then when you get tired, drop down to your knees, finish your set of 10 with a modified push-up. The last movement drill is going to be what's called a 5-corner drill. So I have these 2 corners, I have cones, and then in a rectangle, the front 2 corners, cones, and then I have another cone right in front of me. That's a little harder to see in this camera. So we're going to, again, be working on our first step quickness and our change of direction. You're going to run forward, split step, run backwards, split step. Now we're going to run diagonally, split step, backwards, split, forward, split, backward, and we're going to side shuffle and back to the start. Obviously, you would want a bigger area for this. If you could get an area about the size of the half of the tennis court, that's ideal. But to stay in the camera, I had to modify it. So I'm going to do a few more. You can just timer for 30 seconds and try to maintain it for 30 seconds. So go ahead and join me when you're ready. Forward, split. Backward, split. Diagonal run, split. Back, split. Other side. Now we're going to shuffle side to side. Quick change of direction here. And resume our running split step. If I had more space, and I've been working on it a while, obviously I can really work on my speed and my quick push-off, my footwork, and that's going to carry over to on the tennis court. And side shuffle, and other side. All right, so that completes our circuit. If you're doing this on your own, you would want to go back and repeat the last 8 exercises. You can do, which are the 3-way lunges, the upper body work with the band, our side steps with the jump, one balance exercise of your choice, the row, either from a split stance or from the bench, our reverse lunge with the knee up, push-ups, and this drill. That would give you a pretty good workout. Now we're going to take it down to the mat. So find a good place on the floor. I'm going to show you a couple more exercises you can do to work on your stability. You could do this either with a band or a weighted ball or a dumbbell or any kind of weight. We're going to start in a half kneeling position. So from the front, I want to make sure my knee is directly under my hip. I'm a little in here. So you don't want to be here. So what I want to do is really squeeze my glute and bring my hip right up over my knee. I'm bringing this front foot in to help challenge my balance a little bit. Then I'm going to hold my band at my hip, and then with the other arm, I'm pulling it up in a diagonal pattern. These are called sword pulls. So when you pull the sword out, your thumb is up, and you put it back in the sheath, the thumb is down. This is a great diagonal pattern to work on that shoulder and upper back stability. We just did 10. You might want to do 15 or 20 of these, depending on what you have available for resistance. Then we're going to do the other side. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see the side view. And again, I'm not out here with my back arched here. My hip is directly over my knee. My glute is tight to help stabilize me from the core. My stomach is in. And we're going to pull, do that sword pull. Thumb down, thumb up. You can keep going. I'm going to show you how to do it with a ball. So lifting the ball and back down. Or a weight. If you want to make it harder, just bring that front foot closer to the midline. That's going to really challenge your balance. Make sure you don't change this position. So complete 10 on that side. And then we're going to move on to hands, knees position. It's really great if you have a mirror available so you can look from the side and see how you look. Sometimes people really have too much arch in the back. So the correction for that is pulling the stomach in to flatten the low back. Some people have roundness in the upper back, especially if you work at a computer a lot. And the correction for that is to press the chest towards the floor. But notice I'm pressing it without changing the position of my low back. I'm not doing this. I'm keeping my low back stable, but pressing my chest to the floor so I can get in as close to a tabletop position as possible. And then I'm going to lift my opposite arm and leg and hold it 5 seconds. And switch sides. The mat exercises will really help you improve the muscle strength and endurance. So when you get into an upright position, you will have better core stability. So make sure you're doing these if you're noticing any issues with core stability during your movement drills or your balance drills, or if you're noticing side-to-side differences. We want to correct all that. If the core is moving around a lot on the court, it's obviously going to affect your speed and change of direction and your focus, but it also can lead to injury. Notice as you do these that the low back is not moving as you change sides or lift your leg. Let's do one more on each side. And now we're going to go down onto our sides into a side plank. Planks are another really good exercise for the whole core stability. If you've done them before, you can start on your feet and pop up here. And we want to hold this for about a minute. We want the elbow to be directly under the shoulder, directly below the shoulder. So we don't want the elbow out here. So one hint is to start in a little closer than you think you need, because when you come up, that shoulder is going to shift a little towards your elbow. If that's too hard, you can do it with the knees bent, one straight, opposite hand to help, and push yourself up into the side bridge. Your goal is to do a minute on each side. But if you need to go back down and rest, you can. And then just go back up. And let's switch sides. Either starting from your hip with the knees bent, or starting from your feet. And this is a pretty advanced exercise. If you can be on that outside border of your foot, that's ideal, because it's going to strengthen that outer ankle. If you get tired, you can just drop down to your knees and complete it this way. One note about the planks, they are a little bit hard on the shoulder and the rotator cuff. So if you're having any shoulder discomfort or pain, then they're probably not an appropriate exercise for you. For myself, I can do them occasionally, but I can't do them every day. So you might throw it into your routine once or twice a week. And coming back down. Let's go ahead and stretch. Starting with the knees bent. Pulling your knee into the chest. And then straightening the leg towards the ceiling. Now I'm going to point and flex my foot. This way I'm able to stretch my hamstrings as well as my calves. Your goal is to have your leg vertical and the knee straight. Then I'm going to slide my other foot straight. I'm going to tighten that quad. And then I'm going to continue the stretch, circling the foot 10 times. And then switching directions, circling it the other direction 10 times slowly. Pulling the knee back in. And switching legs. Knee to the chest. Then bring the thigh to vertical and straighten your knee. Pointing, flexing the toe. You can compare sides. Again, if one side is a lot tighter, what you want to do when you do your workout is start with the tight side, do the opposite side, and then return to the tighter side. That's about 10. We'll circle the foot now. Take the other leg straight. And circling the other way. We want to hold our static stretches at least 30 seconds. So by doing these foot movements, it kind of guarantees we're getting about 30 seconds on each side. All right, now we're going to cross one leg over the other. Press the knee out. As you do that, make sure your pelvis doesn't rotate with it. We don't want it tipping up. We want to make sure our footprint of our pelvis on the floor is equal. If I was lying in the sand, I'd have an equal depth footprint or body print when I got up. Then I'm going to pull the knee up to the chest as far as I can, taking the stretch behind to the piriformis, the rotators of the hip, and the glutes. We really want to make sure that we stretch every muscle we work for at least 15 to 20 seconds. If you're tight, then we need that 30-second amount. Pressing the knee out. I like to do it with my own power. I don't want to be really pushing hard through that. And just noticing, what does my pelvis want to do here? Does my pelvis want to come with it? Or am I able to keep it flat? And then I'm going to reach through, pull it up, take that stretch around to the back of the hip. We're just wanting to breathe slowly, bringing our heart rate down, and relaxing into the stretch. So you're going to return to both feet on the floor. Your arms are going to be stretched out. I'm going to straighten one leg. Bring the opposite knee up. Take the opposite arm across, and I'm going to bring it across my body. And what we want to do is keep this shoulder really press down into the mat. We're not letting that come up. So we get a good stretch through the pec muscles, the front of the chest. The hip can come off the floor and rotate, so you get a stretch to the low back and also the outer thigh. And you can kind of just relax and sink into it as you breathe slowly. Come back to the center, and we're going to switch sides. Press the arm that's down into the floor, back of the shoulder, pressing into the floor as we rotate the leg to the opposite side. Nice deep breaths as you relax into the stretch. And coming back to the center, you can roll onto your side and stand up. This thing, because it is falling off. And we're just going to finish with some upper body stretches, arms overhead, reaching towards the ceiling, feeling my torso lengthen and trying to really stretch through here. Getting the lats stretched out, reaching sideways a little bit. I'm not bending a lot. I'm thinking more of lengthening, kind of reaching my hands towards the opposite corner of the ceiling. Back to the center and other side. Then I'm going to bring my arms behind my back, clasping my hands, and I'm going to pinch my shoulders together. I should feel my chest elevate and feel that stretch both in the front of the shoulders and in my upper back. Feeling my shoulder blades pinching together. And I'm keeping one hand behind my back. I'm going to tip my head away. My eyes are staying looking forward. I'm thinking about lengthening that distance between my ear and my top of my shoulder. Stretching these upper trap muscles. Coming back to the center, putting my other hand behind my back, tipping my head away. And feeling that stretch again between just below my ear to the top of my shoulder. And coming back to the center. And you're done with your workout for today. Try to keep this up a couple times a week. And have fun when you can get back out on the court. Goodbye.